So we're going to begin talking about linear systems today and how to solve linear systems. Linear systems is two equations at the exact same time. So we're going to start with the warm-up. In the first warm-up, we're going to start with a basic problem when we want to graph it. If you remember from before, in order to graph an equation, I have to have it in slope-intercept or y equals form. So in order to do that, I'm going to add 2x to each side to get that y by itself. So y equals 2x plus 1. Now I need to identify my slope and my y-intercept. My slope, or m, is the number in front of the x, so 2 over 1. And my b value, or my y-intercept, is always 0 and then a number, so 0 and 1. So to graph this, it's just going to be a real basic sketch. I'm going to start at the point 0, 1, which is going to be right about there. Now, to get to my next point, I'm going to go up 2 blocks and to the right 1. Then up 2 again and to the right 1. That's what my slope's telling me to do. And then my quick sketch should look something like that. Part 2. 3 hours to mow a lawn, 2 hours to trim a hedge, 16 hours doing yard work. So 3 hours for every lawn I want to mow, plus 2 hours for every hedge I want to trim is going to equal 16 hours. And you want to figure out how many hedges, how many lawns you could mow in that total of 16 hours. You want to use the process of guess and check. Basically just plug some things in, see if you can get it to equal out to 16. Some that do would be 4 lawns and 2 hedges, or 2 lawns and 5 hedges would all give you 16. There are lots of other possible combinations as well. Another common one is to mow 0 lawns but trim 8 hedges. Just ask for 2, so as long as you have 2, you're good to go. So today we're going to be looking strictly at solving linear systems by graphing. So to solve linear systems by graphing, you graph each equation. You have 2 equations, you graph each one. Once you have graphed each equation, the intersection point, right where the 2 lines cross, that's the answer, or the ordered pair that will work in both equations. You'll notice now that my equations have both an x and a y in them. So my answer is going to be an ordered pair, an x value and a y value. So in this case, if we look at our intersection point, my x value is 3 and my y value is 2 on the y-axis. So my final answer is going to be 3, 2. Your final answer does in fact need to be written as an ordered pair. I do require you to check these. You actually have 2 checks, one for each equation. So we'll start with the first one. So 3 plus 2 times 2 needs to equal 7. 3 plus 4 needs to equal 7. 7 equals 7. So it checks in the one equation. Second equation, 3 times 3 plus negative 2 times 2 needs to give me 5. 9 plus negative 4 needs to give me 5. 5 equals 5. And my answer checks. Your answer has to check in both equations. If the answer doesn't check in both, then it's not an accurate answer. And there are answers, or possible answers, that would check in one equation but not in the other. So now we're looking at the steps for solving a linear system by graphing, and there's 3 steps. You need to graph both equations. In order to graph both equations, you must have your equation in slope-intercept or y equals mx plus b format. Then you're going to estimate a point of intersection where the lines cross, get your ordered pair, and then check the solutions. Sounds pretty easy with 3 steps, and it's not too bad once we remember how to graph. So here I have my 2 equations. I'm going to graph each one in a different color. So I'm going to start with the first one. I'm going to graph it in red. I need to get this as y equals mx plus b. Negative 1x plus y equals negative 7. I need to get the y by itself. So I'm going to add 1x to each side. And y equals 1x plus negative 7. I have an m value, or a slope, of 1 over 1. I have a y-intercept, or a b value, at 0, negative 7. So now over to the graph. 0, negative 7. Negative 7 is about right there. And my slope says up 1 box, over 1 box. Up 1, over 1, put a dot. Up 1, over 1, put a dot. And keep following the pattern. Usually 3 dots is what we're looking for. Then you connect your dots and draw your line. My second equation, I'll do that one in green. I'm going to work up here. So x plus 4y equals negative 8. Add negative 1x to each side first. So 4y equals negative 1x plus 8, negative 8. Divide everything by 4 to get the y by itself. And y equals negative 1/4 x plus negative 2. That gives me a slope of negative 1/4, and it gives me a b value, or a y-intercept, at 0, negative 2. So 0, negative 2 is about right here. My slope is negative 1 over 4. So I'm coming down 1 and to the right 4. I'm coming down 1 and to the right 4. Connect my dots, draw my line. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for that point of intersection. And that point of intersection, because I'm just sketching without a ruler on the iPad, my point of intersection is going to be right here. Right where the two lines cross. And they should cross on a whole number. We're not going to be working with decimals. So if it does look like it's crossing at a decimal, you can just estimate it to the nearest whole numbers. So my final answer for my ordered pair is going to be 4, negative 3. Now I need to check it. So negative 1 times 4 plus negative 3 needs to give me negative 7. Negative 4 plus negative 3 gives me negative 7. Negative 7 gives me negative 7. And my answer checks. You get the idea. Other side. 1 times 4 plus 4 times negative 3 needs to give me negative 8. 4 plus negative 12 needs to give me negative 8. Negative 8 equals negative 8, and my answer checks. And that's it. You'll notice we set up the problems in order to be able to graph them. Once we graphed them, we pulled out our intersection point, and then we checked. What I have now is I have 3 more examples. They're all exactly the same. They're just showing you how to set up the equation again, how to go over graphing it, all of those little pieces. So if you have any questions on any of that, feel free to continue listening to the video if you want to try them on your own, and then turn the video back on and see if your answer matches, however you'd like to do it at this point. But we've already gone over the main concept. These are just 3 practice ones. So, first equation, I'm going to solve it in red. So I'm going to add 5x, I'm going to add 5x over here, and I get y equals 5x plus 0. My slope is 5 over 1. My b value and it's okay, is at 0, 0. So 0, 0. Up 5 to the right 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right 1. Second equation I'll do in green again. I'm going to add negative 5x to each side. So y equals negative 5x plus 10. My slope is negative 5 over 1. My b value is at 0, 10. So 0, 10 is way up here at the top of the graph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, right on the very tippy top edge of the graph. This time I'm coming down 5 and over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. You'll notice that I didn't draw my red line at first. I thought it might be easier for you to see where they matched up without having the lines directly kind of blocking the way. You should have noticed as I was doing my slope with the green line that the green dot ended up right on top of the red dot, right here at the point 1, 5. And that's going to be my answer. So 1, 5. So now I'm going to do my checks. So negative 5 times 1 plus 5 needs to give me 0. Negative 5 plus 5 needs to give me 0. 0 equals 0, and my answer checks. Second equation, 5 times 1 plus 5 needs to give me 10. 5 plus 5 needs to give me 10. 10 equals 10. So my answer checks. Same concept, just another problem to kind of work our way through. Again, I have two equations. I'm going to solve each one in a different color. First equation, negative 1x plus 2y equals 3. I'm going to add 1x to each side. 2y equals 1x plus 3. Divide by 2 everywhere. Y equals 1 over 2x plus 3 over 2. And it's okay to have it as 3 over 2. Don't reduce it, don't change it, just leave it as 3 over 2. So now I'm going to pull out my slope, which is 1/2. I'm going to pull out my y-intercept, which is 0, and then 3 over 2. So I'm going to start at 3 over 2. 3 over 2 is the same as 1/2. So 0 and 1.5. So about right there. Now, my slope is 1 over 2. You need to count boxes. So since I'm starting in the middle of a box, from middle of a box to middle of a box is 1, and then staying in the middle of the boxes over to 2. Up 1 to the middle of the box, over 2, staying in the middle of the box. And I get my red line. Green line. 2x plus y equals 4. Add negative 2x to each side. Y equals negative 2x plus 4. I have a slope of negative 2 over 1. I have a y-intercept at 0, 4. 0, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slope of negative 2 over 1. So I'm coming down 2 and right 1. Down 2 over 1. Down 2 over 1. My line looks something like that. Right, here's my point of intersection. That's at the ordered pair 1, 2. Plugging it in for my checks. Negative 1 times 1 plus 2 times 2 needs to give me 3. Negative 1 plus 4 needs to give me 3. 3 equals 3. And my answer checks. Second equation, 2 times 1 plus 2 needs to give me 4. 2 plus 2 needs to give me 4. 4 equals 4. And my answer checks. Last example problem to look at to finish up this lesson. Again, 2 equations. Do each one separately. So I need to get this first equation to have the y by itself. So 1x plus negative 1y equals 5. I'm going to add negative 1x to each side to get the y by itself. So negative 1y equals negative 1x plus 5. Divide everything by a negative 1. You need to be careful with your signs in this problem. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1x, and 5 divided by negative 1 is negative 5. So my slope is 1 over 1. My y-intercept value is at 0, negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down to 0, negative 5. Slope of 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Connect my dots and draw the line. Not really on the dots there, but I think we can get the point. Second one, 3x plus 3y equals 3. Add negative 3x to each side. So 3y equals negative 3x plus 3. Divide by 3. Y equals negative 1x plus 1. So I have a slope of negative 1 over 1. Negative 1 over 1. And I have a y-intercept at 0. So my y-intercept at 0, 1. Oh. 0, 1 will be up here. Now my slope is negative 1 over 1, so I'm coming down 1 and right 1. I usually like to put enough dots until I can actually see the 2 lines cross. So even if it's more than 3, I like to try to put the points so that I can see where that point of intersection is. And by doing that, even though my red line was off a little bit, I was able to notice that I was putting a green dot right on top of a red dot. And that's at the point 3, negative 2. So I believe the answer to be 3, negative 2. We won't know for certain, though, until we check it. So 3 plus negative 1 times negative 2 needs to equal 5. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. That needs to equal 5. 5 equals 5, so my answer checks. 3 times 3 plus 3 times negative 2 needs to give me 3. 9 plus negative 6 needs to give me 3. 3 equals 3. So my answer checks. And that's it for your homework tonight. It's not going to be in a workbook. It's going to be a worksheet. You should have it in front of you. If for some reason you don't, you can access it off my website. And even if you can't print it out, you can certainly copy the problems down and give it a try. Try not to get the roadblock up about the graphing. Just follow it step by step, piece by piece. Make sure you're paying attention to the small details. Other than that, it should go pretty well. If you have any questions, make sure you stop in and see me.